You're listening to Confessions of a Counselor podcast. Here we will talk all things mental wellness.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Confessions of a Counselor. I'm your host, Janice, and today I thought we would talk about the progression of therapy. So I've now been a therapist in private practice for 7.5 years, and I wanted to talk about how things have changed and how, as a therapist, I've changed, and what that looks like for my clients, and kind of what you can expect as a therapist gets deeper into their practice. Okay, so let's jump right in. So, talking about therapy and talking about the ways that things have changed. I saw a funny video on the internet, of course. What else do we do in, I guess, 2023? In that it was talking about how the therapist had changed over the years, and how in those first brand new therapists will often kind of be shy and kind of beat around the bush and try to very much contain the therapy. And then as you kind of get 5 years in, you're a little bit more relaxed. You'll make a joke here and there, and things start to flow a little bit more. And then the funny joke about this video particularly was that kind of 10 years in, the therapist doesn't have much of a filter, and kind of makes some jokes that are maybe a little bit more dark or nitty gritty. And so I thought that this was very interesting, and I was reflecting on my own journey as a therapist and how this video felt very accurate to the portrayal of how therapy changes. Not for the client, but for the therapist in this sense. And the parallels between the growth of clients and the growth of therapists. And I thought that it was very interesting to see. In the early years of my therapy practice, I felt like I had to know all the answers, and I had to kind of come to therapy with all of this information and portray out into the world that I knew what I was talking about. And I would say probably in the last couple of years, so kind of after year 5, there's been this progression where it's okay for me to not know all the answers. So I can either say to a client, yeah, I don't know the answer to that, let me look that up. Or, I think that this person or this resource might have more in-depth information as to what you're looking for. And I think that that's okay. And I think that it's also okay for us as humans to not have all the answers, even in an area of expertise. And so really over the last couple of years, I've been trying to bring my humanness into therapy. And I think that we see that as you start to see that a therapist is further on into their practice, or further on into learning and practicing therapy, that there is a softness that comes with that. There is a relaxedness that comes with that. And it often comes with a lot of humor. Many of the therapists that I know tend to make more jokes, tend to be more blunt and honest as the years go on. And I think that that's so important. I think particularly knowing your client and their sense of humor. But I think being able to talk openly and honestly and bluntly about our experiences is so important. So kind of as we're starting 2023, we're starting a new season of the podcast. I think it's very interesting to reflect and see the changes that have happened over the last 7.5 years. So kind of setting this intention, I guess, with this podcast episode of really trying to lean into humanness, really leaning into exploration and leaning into support and going deeper and learning and unlearning our stories. So I think that that's kind of the direction the podcast will take this season as well, is how can we dive deeper? What can we uncover once we've been in therapy for a while, once we start to get to the nitty-gritties of the details. So I'm looking forward to exploring that with you. Happy 2023, and I look forward to chatting again soon.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Confessions of a Counselor podcast is available anywhere you like to listen to your podcast, both on Apple and Android. New episodes will be released every Friday. If you enjoyed this podcast, please feel free to join the conversation. Leave a review or subscribe to the podcast hosted on the Anchor app. All these details can be found at janicelyons.com. Until next time, take care.